Hello, my name is Caleb, and today I'll be telling the story of Red Riding Hood. So, one day, there's a Red Riding Hood in the forest that lived right next to the deep, dark woods in a little cottage. And one day, she was skipping along, and skipped right into the little cottage. And her mother said, "Why, can you please be a good girl and bring this basket of treats to your grandmother? She's feeling very sick." So Red Riding Hood grabbed the basket and started skipping out the door. But then the mother called out as loud as she could, "Remember, don't talk to any strangers!" And Red Riding Hood just kept on skipping along. So she went deeper and deeper into the deep, dark forest, and she was at the deepest part of the forest. And she met a wolf, a clever but lazy wolf. So the wolf said, "Are you lost?" And Red Riding Hood said, "Yes, most certainly. My grandmother lives in a little cottage all the way across the deep, dark forest and the flower patch and a little yellow house." And so the wolf and Red Riding Hood were walking along, and then they came across a beautiful flower patch. So then the wolf said, "Why don't you pick a few?" And Red Riding Hood said, "That'd be a splendid idea." So Red Riding Hood picking a beautiful bouquet when the wolf just snuck off. He was sneaking off. And then he knocked on the door, and the granny said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's Red Riding Hood, your delicious, splendid granddaughter." And so the grandma said, "It's open." And so the wolf came coming along, and he cried, "I'll eat you!" And the granny was like, "Hmm?" And he ate her up, one whole. And then the wolf heard Red Riding Hood skipping along onto the front porch. So as quickly as he could, he put on the blanket, the cap, and the glasses. And then he heard a knock. "Who is it?" he called in his best granny voice. "Your splendid daughter, Red Riding Hood." "No, your splendid daughter, Red Riding Hood." And then he said, "It's open." So Red Riding Hood came skipping in, and then she said, "Grandmother, what big ears you have! The better to hear you, my dear." "And grandmother, what big eyes you have! The better to see you, my dear." "And grandmother, what big teeth you have! The better to eat you up!" cried the wolf. And the big wolf ate Red Riding Hood one whole. And after his big meal, his stomach was full. and ignoring the basket, like not even noticing the basket, he just sat in the grandma's rocking chair and was rocking. And after his big, great meal, he fell asleep. But then the clever fox missed one thing. He forgot to close the window. And so a hunter came by and heard the sounds and said, "That's not no granny." So the brave hunter jumped in the window. An epic battle scene. and then after the great big battle, Red Riding Hood jumped out, and then the grandma jumped out, and and thanked the hunter. And the grandmother said, "Oh, why, it was so dark in there, I couldn't read a word." And so, and so Red Riding Hood never talks to strangers, swore to herself she would never talk to strangers again. And she never did.